Major Robert Anderson wrote a telegram April 18th, 1861. It's a steamship Baltic off Sandy Hook, Thursday, April 18th. Honorable S. Cameron, Secretary of War, Washington, D.C. Sir, having defended Fort Sumter for 34 hours until the quarters were entirely burned, the main gates destroyed by fire, the gorge wall seriously injured, the magazine surrounded by flames, and its door closed from the effects of the heat, 4 barrels and 3 cartridges of powder only being available, and no provision but pork remaining, I accepted terms of evacuation offered by General Beauregard, being the same offered by him on the 11th INST period, 11th instance, prior to the commencement of hostilities, and marched out of the fort Sunday afternoon, the 14th day.
Right.
The 11th instance, maybe, I guess.
Right,
the 14th instance or day, with colors flying and drums beating, bringing away many company and private property, and saluting my flag with 50 guns.
So he walked away.
Robert Anderson, Major 1st Artillery.
So they left with pride or whatever, I guess, some dignity.
Did all they could do without dying.
Right. Almost dead anyway. Haven't eaten in how long?
Right. Came out looking like damn, never mind.
Oh. Anderson carried the Fort Sumter flag with him north, where it became a widely known symbol of the battle and rallying point for supporters of the Union. This inspired Frederick Edwin Church to paint our banner in the sky.
Which you Patreoners will see right now on your screen.
There it is.
That little guy right there.
Nice
cool painting.
Picture there, right. Described as a symbolic landscape embodying the stars and stripes. And it does. You look at it.
It really does.
It's great. A chromolithograph was then created and sold to benefit the families of the Union soldiers. Nice. They already had GoFundMe's back then.
Pretty much, right. Got a bunch of photos, including many of after. We've got one right here where the Confederate flag is flying in Fort Sumter right after the surrender. So, officially under federal or Confederate control now. The bombardment.
That's what, people don't understand. The flag you see nowadays is the rebel flag, it's not the Confederate flag.
Well, the flag you see most commonly,
it's the battle flag.
It's the battle flag, right?
Yeah, no one even knows what
the actual flag of the nation is that one.
Yeah.
The bombardment of Fort Sumter was the first military action of the American Civil War. Following the surrender, Northerners rallied behind Lincoln's call for all states to send troops to recapture the forts and preserve the Union. With the scale of the rebellion apparently small so far, Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers for 90 days. He's like, we get 75,000 guys for 3 months. We should have this stuff in the bag.
Right. Easily.
Some northern states filled their quotas quickly. There were so many volunteers in Ohio that within 16 days, they could have met the full call for 75,000 men by themselves.
Yeah, Ohio, Indiana, those guys were coming.
Oh, yeah.
Michigan even brought a lot. Those guys wanted to fight, man. They came.
Mm-hmm.
They saw.
And in some cases, they conquered.
Some.
Right.
But in most cases, not.
Well, at the beginning.
I mean, when we get the deaths here, guys, when it actually becomes a war, you guys, if you don't know anything about the Civil War or don't remember the death counts for battles, you're going to be like, what?
Lots.
What? That in one battle? And how are they fighting all these battles when they're losing that many people?
Other governors from border states were undiplomatic in their responses. For example, Governor Claiborne Jackson wrote, "Not one man will the state of Missouri furnish to carry on any such unholy crusade." And Governor Beriah McGoffin wrote, "Kentucky will furnish no troops for the wicked purpose of subduing her sister southern states." The governors of other states still in the Union were equally unsupportive. The call for 75,000 troops triggered 4 additional slave states to declare their secession from the Union and join the Confederacy, making up that 11.
Right.
The ensuing war lasted 4 years. Obviously, we know what happened then. The other 3 states are like, you're demanding troops from us now to fight these Southern guys that we already didn't even want to get involved in this anyways? Yeah, well, we might as well just join the Southerners then. Never give a man an ultimatum.
Right. They're like, hey, man, that state was doing what they thought was right for that. We would have done the same.
Mm-hmm.
Now you guys want to bring in 75,000 people? And no, we can't let that happen.
Nope.
Charleston Harbor was completely in Confederate hands for almost the entire 4 year of the war, leaving a hole in the Union naval blockade, which was critical.
Yep.
Union forces conducted major operations.
Imagine during this time if an outside country decided they wanted to invade.
Oh, dude, they would have killed us.
What do you think would have happened?
They would have murdered us.
I don't think so.
If Britain,
I think Union and Confederates would have been the united point that we would have to force together again to fight them off, and then immediately go back to fighting each other.
I bet Britain was thinking that. like, what if we just, instead of going helping the South,
I'm sure that's why they helped the South.
right? They're thinking, hey, they'll be too weak. They're going by the time this war is over, that country will be so weak and they're going to need us. So bam, we're back in again. Or where they're like, why wouldn't we just go in and do it now?
I wonder if there is anything like that.
They've always outnumbered us in troops.
Of course.
There's no reason. Now we're fighting each other. They ain't doing nothing else.
Yeah, but it's similar to us.
Or do you think Lincoln only put half the army on that?
Similar to us going to Vietnam. We didn't know the terrain, the layout, or anything like that.
Right. They're like, all we can do is fight right at land and,
ships,
sea, right? Nothing else we can do there.
So they got the British got murdered in land battles, dude.
Right. And they're thinking, hey, let's help out the South. Send, I don't know, a couple thousand of our troops there. They can lay out the land, and whoever survives can send us feedback of, hey, this is what to expect when you get here. When this is all over, when you guys come to pick me up. And they're like, sorry. Charleston Harbor was complete in Confederate hands for almost 4 years, leaving a hole in the Union blockade. We said that. Union forces conducted major operations 1862 and 1863 to capture Charleston.
We'll get them. We'll get to them.
Right. First overland on James Island, which is called the Battle of Secessionville.
They named a whole damn town after the secession.
That was in June of 1862. Then by naval assault against Fort Sumter, which is the Battle of Charleston Harbor in
I'm
April
assuming the naval
63.
assault didn't go too well, since we already established how good Fort Sumter was to be against naval assaults.
Right. You can't do naval. They shouldn't even mess with naval stuff.
Right.
Then by seizing the Confederate artillery positions on Morris Island, beginning with the second battle of Fort Wagner. Everybody knows Fort Wagner, July 1863, and followed by a siege until September. After pounding Sumter to rubble with artillery fire, a final ambitious operation attempted to occupy it. The second battle of Fort Sumter.
Amphibious.
Right. Which means by water.
Not ambitious.
Right.
It was probably ambitious. It was an ambitious amphibious operation.
Right. It's called the second battle of Fort Sumter, which happened in September 1863, which was repulsed and no further attempts were made. Like, we can't get it.
It pounded it to rubble and still didn't even take over the damn thing.
No.
Oh. The Confederates evacuated Fort Sumter in Charleston in February 1865 as Union Major General William T. Sherman outflanked the city in the Carolinas campaign. On April 14th, 1865, 4 years to the day after lowering the Fort Sumter flag and surrender, Robert Anderson, by then a major general and retired, returned to the ruined fort to raise the flag he had lowered in 1861.
Wow.
So sweet.
Isn't that nice?
2 of the cannons used at Fort Sumter were later presented to LSU, which is Louisiana State University. Why Louisiana? By General William Tecumseh Sherman, who was president of the university before the war.
General Sherman.